don't really know how much I want to get straight into it, to be honest. Um, I guess I could start by just addressing I guess I'll address like less important stuff and then go to the more important stuff. I think that'll be a little bit easier. Um, I guess that'll be a little bit easier. Dealing with like the whole like people expressing discomfort playing with me in Overwatch. I've never once like forced anyone to play with me in Overwatch. I've never once said, "Hey, play with me." In fact, I've actually had people who would message me and be like, "Overwatch? Question marks? Comp? Question mark?" Not only that, but I've also had people come into my stream who people who are supposedly saying that they've always hated me or always disliked me, coming into they would come into my stream and ask me to play with them or ask me do things with them like Doom Sumo, Quick Play, Comp, and stuff like that. So I find it to be a bit odd. Not only that, but these are also people who went out of their way to try to say kind things to me, only to then turn around and say, "Yeah, I've always disliked you," which I found to be very, very weird. Because from my perspective, if because I've always told people like, "Hey, like you don't have to come to my stream. I understand you hate me. I understand you dislike me. You don't have to come into my stream." Only for those people to insist that they actually do like me and that they actually don't hate me. Um, and so that was a bit perplexing and confusing to have people who are like being very, very adamant that they don't hate me, only to then turn around and say, "Now, oh yeah, I've always hated that guy." Um, I want to also get into like the whole like accusations of like the rape joke stuff. Um, the accusations of the rape joke stuff was number one, I never intended any of those things to be rapey. And I'm not saying my intentions absolves me of the impact of my words. I'm not saying that whatsoever. My intentions do not absolve me of the impact of my words. So even if I did not intend something, if it is taken that way, that's mostly what takes precedent. But what I would like to say is that like the statements that I have said are in the same ballpark and realm of things that have been said to me by the same people that are trying to say that what I said was fucked up. There was an individual who specifically, when I mentioned that that I used to wrestle in high school, their comment, another person's comment was, "Oh, CR2, we used to wrestle. Oh, me and him should wrestle." And then another person commented that, "Yeah, me and CR2 should wrestle in bed with no clothes on." Which I took as a joke, but could also very easily be taken as like the same realm as some of the jokes that I make. Specifically, the jokes that people have taken issue with me making are mods, grab the zip ties, and I'ma touch you. Those are the two main jokes that people have taken issue with, and not only have other people, the same people who are taking issue with those jokes, made similar jokes in the same like sphere of like tone, but some of them have actively said the exact same things that I've said. Like there was an individual who in another person's stream said to me, "Mods, touch him." And I also remember that there were some people when I posted like my face reveal were like yeah, I'ma touch you. Yeah, you're getting touched, or would make or made sexual comments about me from that face reveal. So on the topic of like the rape jokes thing, I 100% take accountability for the fact that I said things that made people deeply uncomfortable and was likely deeply inappropriate. But number one, I typically directed it at people who I at the very least assumed knew or at the very least assumed were comfortable. Like someone who was on call with me, or two, a lot of the people who are taking issue with what I said very similar things to me and other people as well. And by very similar, I mean sometimes they literally said the exact same things that they're saying that they take issue with me saying. Um, so on that talking point, I'm kind of like a bit confused as to why there's like a specific um why there is a specific issue with what the way that I said it or what the fact that I said it when other people were saying if not the exact same thing, very similar things, like very similar things. So I'm more so curious as to like why I'm not really expecting an answer, but I'm more so just like a bit confused as to why me making those statements were received a bit differently um relative to someone else saying those exact same statements. And the only thing I can come up with is the next point that I'm about to talk about is there's a person within the community of people that are pretty much like hate me that is transgender, and a lot of people are pretty much just making the argument that me not being kind to them must have been on the premise that they are transgender. And I can't even argue how far that is from the truth. Um, my issues with that person 100% stem from them as a person. Like, on multiple occasions, I have communicated to that person that they have crossed my boundaries on a myriad of different occasions, and that they were making me uncomfortable, only for them to continue doing the things that I said made me uncomfortable, and things of that nature. And nothing I said to them was targeted at them on the premise that they were transgender. Nothing. It was purely just, hey, this is a person who kept making fun of me in situations where I asked them to not make fun of me. I'm talking even in our earliest interactions, they were just calling me names and making fun of me. Upwards until like a few months ago, like probably like this year, they were still making fun of me and calling me names, and I was just kind of like not interacting with them kindly because of the fact they kept calling me names and making fun of me. And I was like, hey, I'm just not taking kindly to this. So no, I'm not going to be like very friendly with you because you keep coming to my stream even after I've told you, hey, please stop calling me names and please stop making fun of me. They continue to do it. So that was where my issues with them stemmed from. And then on the topic of like the ableism comments, I 100% acknowledge things that I said they were ableist. Yeah, it was mostly just me not taking that conversation as seriously as I should have, and because of that, I was treating it way too lightheartedly. And on the topic of my difficulties engaging with neurodivergent people, it was not on the premise of me, once again, it was not on the premise of me disliking or having any animosity towards neurodivergent people. It was primarily on the premise of like me having experience genuinely struggling communicating with people with neurodivergencies. Like whether it be me communicating a boundary and them not explicit, like I'll communicate a boundary like, hey, could you please not do that, only for them to maybe stop doing that one specific thing but then to do a very similar thing later on, and it kept becoming a pattern of me having to communicate every specific thing that I didn't want them to do, and it was very emotionally tiring. um it was to a point where I did oftentimes I did sometimes opt out of friendships because I was like, hey, I'm having to repeatedly explain to you that what you're doing, the things that you're doing, are making me uncomfortable. And in their defense, they don't get the broader picture of what I'm talking about. They're just taking it by instance by instance. They're taking it instance by instance, instance by instance, instance by instance, and aren't really understanding like the broader picture of why I take issue with the things that they're saying. And I should have been more sensitive of that. I should have understood that, like, hey, I can't just expect them to just understand what I'm talking about. But my whole conversation, the whole part of the conversation centered around my difficulties in engaging with people with neurodivergency was centered around the fact that I have experience engaging with people with neurodivergency, relationships with people with neurodivergency, and it has hurt my ability to communicate with them. It 100% has. It has caused a bunch of communication issues, a bunch of issues where I'm struggling to get my point across. I'm struggling to hear where they're coming from. I'm offering support to the best of my ability, but I'm just not well equipped. I'm just not well equipped oftentimes to navigate the conversations that are being had. And in regards to the person I was talking about that was present at the time, and it was transgender, a lot of times they would say things that I just myself and other people present did not understand what they were trying to say, and there was just a lot of confusion surrounding it. A lot of like, it was just really confusing. Um, but more or less, I said some deeply insensitive things in a lighthearted manner that I should have been taking more seriously. I should not have said things along the lines of like, "Oh, I wouldn't want a kid who's neurodivergent." I could have said that 10,000 ways better. Like things like, if I had a kid, I would be very sad if they were struggling with depression. Like, and that's more so what I meant. It's more so like if I had a kid and my kid was struggling with depression, I would be made very sad by that reality that I had a kid who's struggling with depression, because I understand like that is a genuine struggle to have. Um, and that's more so what I meant with what I was saying. It was not like, oh my god, ew, I don't want a neurodivergent kid. It was more so like, that's not what I meant. That's not what I intended whatsoever. What I intended to mean was like, this is a genuine issue that my child would be struggling with in this context. So therefore, I would prefer them to not be struggling with this issue. Um, and yeah, that's more or less what I intended. But I understand that looking back on what I said, that 100% was not what came across. That was 100% not what was said, and I deserve pretty much all the accountability that can be had for what I said. I have no hatred towards transgender people whatsoever, not to any degree or capacity. I just simply did not like that individual because of the ways they would interact with me. It was that individual person and the ways they would interact with me, and the fact that they kept insisting on calling me names that I explicitly did not like that individual because and the fact that they kept insisting on calling me names that I explicitly told them, hey, I'm not comfortable with you calling me those names, could you call me something else? And they kept being adamant about them having a right to call me things that I did not want to be called. That was the issue. It had nothing. I communicated to that to that person on multiple occasions. You tell me that you're uncomfortable with something that I'm saying, I'm not one to defend my right to continue saying it. I wish that people had talked to me more about it. But at the end of the day, it's no one's responsibility, I guess, to check me. It's no one's responsibility to check me. It's my responsibility, I guess, to be more aware. The ableist stuff, 100% justified. 100% justified. The ableism stuff, 100% justified. I get 100% where everyone is coming from. I 100% will take accountability for that, and the impact of my actions cannot be overstated. But with the other stuff, it's giving a level of bias that is like, because I'm explicitly saying like, okay, there are other people that are also doing this stuff, or it is like I've made it abundantly clear why I interact with this person the way that I do, but you guys are insisting a motive that I've explicitly given you my motive on multiple occasions. Um, so yeah, it's giving a level of bias that, ironically enough, bridges on something problematic. The people in the community that I'm talking about, the communities that I'm talking about, are going to continue making those types of quote unquote rapey comments towards people and insist that when they say it, it's not rapey, but when I say it, it is. And I can't help but question the reasoning as to why, when I specifically say it, it's rapey, but when they say it, it is not. On the transphobia stuff, I 100% think that it is just a matter of like, I was not kind to a person who happened to be transgender, so therefore people took it as me being transphobic. When in actuality, it was just me not liking that person because of the way they interacted with me and the fact that they just kept calling me names and shit. That's all that was. And it wasn't just them that I expressed that disdain for. It was also another person as well. It wasn't like I singled specifically them out. There's another person. I'm not gonna name names because I'm not trying to like name drop people if I can help it. But there was another person as well when they came into my chat. I pretty much gave them the same sentiment of like, hey, I don't know why you're here. I know you don't like me. I don't get why you're here. And things of that nature. And then on the rape jokes point, I 100% see where you guys are coming from. It was not my intention for it to be taken that way. I have no desire to do those things or say or make or like bypass anyone's consent whatsoever. But I will say that there is a very distinct disparity in how you guys are treating me when I say those things versus someone else when they say those things. And all I'm gonna say is that there is a distinct difference between myself and some of the other people within that community that I'm assuming is the reasoning for the distinction. Is the reason for the distinction because I can't find a reason as to why literally an exact other person saying I'm gonna touch you is perfectly fine, but me saying I'm gonna touch you immediately not fine. I physically cannot really gather as to why there's a unique sentiment of disgust with me saying it versus that other person or those other people saying it, and the difference only other than the differences, the identity based differences between me and those people. Um, so yeah, that's more or less all I really wanted to talk about it to say about it really, just because I'm just like all I can really do is try to grow as a person and move forward. Like I said, the ableism stuff is 100% stuff that I can work on and improve as a person, and I get that I'm being dragged fairly hard through the mud. I'm not gonna retaliate at anybody. I'm not gonna sit here like I'm not gonna name drop anybody. I'm not gonna like lash out or call anyone out on things that they've said. I'm not the type of person who like will go through VODs and like screenshot and be like, oh, you're gonna call me out on stuff that I've said that's problematic. I'm gonna go through your stuff and try to find stuff that you said that's problematic. I'm not the type of person to do that, and I'm not going to do. I have no intention of doing that. All I'm gonna say is I take accountability 100% for the ableist comments that I made. 100% for the ableist comments that I made. But on the transphobia stuff, I'd have no transgender hate for that person in name, for the person in mind whatsoever. I just do not like them on the basis of their interactions with me and the name calling me and making fun of me with no like with no really like a tone indicators. Um, fucking treat it like a lighthearted conversation that I shouldn't have. I should not have treated that conversation with the lighthearted nature that I did, and I really should have just fucking shut the fuck up. I really should have just shut the fuck up. Regardless of my experiences with people, that does not trump the experiences that other people have, like very real experiences that other people have had with like their parents treating them differently because of the fact that they're neurodivergent, or people in society treating them differently because they are neurodivergent. My discomfort doesn't trump that. My difficulties navigating the situations does not trump that. I said I approached that situation with a level of seriousness that was far below what I should have approached it with. So yeah, like on the ableism point, I'm in the fault. I'm in the wrong. I fucked up. Nah, I can't even say I fucked up because that even that sounds like I'm treating it too lightly. I overstepped immensely, immensely overstepped, and I need to do some work in regards to making sure that those biases are like completely out of my system. It's gonna take time. I'm just gonna try to like check myself as much as I can. If I even start thinking this stuff, or even start thinking like, oh, this is irritating for this reason or that reason, I need to like start having more patience with people, and just understanding that not everyone is going to be operating. It's not gonna get everything that I say the first time I say it. I need to understand that and be more patient with people. I can't just sit here and just keep getting endlessly frustrated with people just because people don't get what I'm saying, like right when I fucking say it. I don't have a right to get frustrated with people when they're doing their best to understand. It's not like a lack of effort. It is just genuinely a genuine difficulty that they have, where like I might say something, and like they're like, okay, I get you, and then there's like miscommunication. Like I need to acknowledge that there's nobody being mean in that circumstance. They're not like it's not like what's the word? It's not weaponized incompetence or anything. It's not malicious. No, I think weaponized incompetence is the term I was looking for. It's not weaponized incompetence. It's just straight up like, hey, I genuinely did not get what you were trying to say. And I should be more understanding of that. But like I said, on ableism stuff, 100% take accountability for what I said and what I did. But on the transphobia stuff, I genuinely do not have any. I don't have any transphobic hate towards people. I don't. My disdain for interactions with that person in particular were rooted in the fact that number one, a lot of my interactions with that person were just them insulting me a lot of the time, and I think I pointed out to them and another person that it was the fact that my interactions with them was primarily over text and there was no tone indicators. So a lot of it was just me thinking like these people are just bullying me. These people are just saying really really mean shit about me. Really really mean shit about me, and so I just grew to not like that person and the other person as well. Not just this person, the other person as well, because I was like these people are just saying mean shit about me over and over and over and over again. And then there was also the topic of like misnaming me over and over and over and over again, which I took a lot of more, probably more irritation with it than I should have. I probably should have just I probably should have just ignored it, to be honest. I probably should have taken as much issue as I did with it, because at the end of the day, it doesn't hurt me. It doesn't really hurt me as much as like it just really doesn't. And I probably should have just ignored it, to be honest. I should have like someone comes in calls me cr2 goochtical, and I should have just been like, oh, okay, cool. And so that's why my interactions with that person weren't necessarily weren't very kind, and oftentimes weren't very respectful. The only other things I could possibly approach, eat a bullet, creep R2 goose sticker. Okay. Um, the only other things I feel like I could potentially address are like the Overwatch 2 discomfort. I understand that I could be very condescending as shit. I am a condescending shit a lot of the times, especially with things that I feel like I'm very knowledgeable about. And I understand how I could have like made people really uncomfortable. And honestly, that was just me being a dick. That was just me being a fucking dick. I did not intend to single anyone out. I was more so I used the term we a lot as much as I could to try to not make people feel singled out. But I likely failed in that department in trying to like um not make people feel singled out. I likely failed in that department. Was not my intentions to make anyone feel singled out. But ultimately that's what ended up happening, and I do apologize for anyone that was made to feel that way. And I apologize. No, I actually don't like the way I phrased that. That was not a good way to phrase it, because now I found it seems like I'm saying like, sorry you feel that way. I'm not sorry you feel that way. I'm sorry that what I said had that impact on you, and what I said was said. Moving forward, all I can really do is just move forward, try to grow as a person, and not do this stuff again in the future. That's really all I can really do. I don't really have. There's nothing else I can really do about it, other than try to become a better person from it. And that's all I really can do. And that's what I intend to do is just move forward, not make statements like that anymore in the future, and to better communicate my boundaries with people. Because realistically, like I said, I should not have been like so adamant about like being on people about certain things. I should have just said, hey, look, I don't really rock with you like that. I don't really rock with you as a person like that. Could you please just leave me alone? That's realistically what I should have said, rather than trying to like, rather than letting my bias against that person on the premise of them like making fun of me on multiple occasions get perceived in the way that it did. I genuinely don't. And the whole like rape joke stuff, um, all I can really say is like I'm not gonna make those jokes anymore. I have no motives or mindset in my head of doing those things. Like I said, all I can really ask is that people return the favor and not make those comments directed at me in the future moving forward. Just like I said before, I was in an environment where a lot of people kept making those statements directed at me as well. It wasn't like I'm saying these things to other people and they're just kind of giving me the side eye. No, it was like I would say something and then there would be like engagement on the from the other person's part, or they would say something to me and then there'd be engagement from my part. This wasn't like a me saying this thing and then everyone's just kind of like, what the hell? It was there was engagement, there was interaction, and there was reciprocation in a lot of these instances. But I understand 100% that that could have that was you guys were just kind of like you were uncomfortable, but just didn't really want to say it. And I 100% understand that, and so yeah. But yeah, all I can really do is try to move forward. I'm not gonna deny the stuff I said. That's why the VOD is still up. The VOD is still up. I don't have any intentions of taking it down. Um, I fucked up. I made a bad choice. I said wrong shit. Is there anything else that I wanted to say? Can't really think. Because like, there's not much. Like I said, it's not really my words that'll navigate the situations. Mostly my actions. So all I can really do is act. Is just move forward and create a space that isn't what people are making my space out to be. That's really all I can do. That's really all I can do is just try to be a better person moving forward. I'm not expecting forgiveness from anybody. I'm not expecting people to be like, you know what, dude, I get where you're coming from. I'm not expecting any of that whatsoever. I'm not really interested in forgiveness or redemption or anything like that. I'm more so doing this so that I can be a better person. I'm not doing this so that other people view me as a better person. I don't really care if people don't view me as a great person or a good person whatsoever. I'm more so concerned with me being able to say that I'm giving my all to being a better person. And that's kind of what I aim to do, and aim to be. It's just someone who's working harder to be a better person. As weirdly as this sounds, I appreciate you guys pointing out, even though at the way that you guys did, pointing out the issues you guys took with my behavior, and I'm gonna, internalize that and take it and move forward with it, and use it as a constant reminder of like how my actions and words can impact other people. Um, so I guess my closing thoughts are just like I'm going to do my best to grow as a person. There are boundaries I would like to set. If anyone is attempting to like try to like physically harm anyone in my everyday life or me or anyone in my everyday life over this, I'm gonna have to kind of put my foot down because it's appearing as though people are expressing an intent or a desire to do so. So if anyone is attempting to or is planning to try to physically harm me, my family, my partner, or anyone in my life, which a lot of I've seen from what I've seen of messages, some people are expressing a desire to do so. I'm while I do acknowledge that I'm the one who fucked up and I'm the one who wronged people, I'm gonna have to do what I have to do to protect my family, protect my family and my loved ones.